Hello and welcome to another Dynamic Friday. My name is Adam Bursan. Chris Smith is actually in the process of getting married at some point today. And this is actually pre-recorded. So at the time, I'll probably be on my way to the wedding as well. But wanted to go ahead. We have our Friday call and wanted to keep it going. So I wanted to record my portion of the call. And then Chris and I also already recorded our portion, which will be almost like a podcast format after my portion of the call. So, as usual, I usually talk about my week and how my week went, and actually, it's right now at the time I'm recording, it's Thursday night, a little bit different than the usual Friday morning when I kind of go over the recap. I actually just got home a few minutes ago, out working. I'm having a beer. Why not? And uh and so just a little recap of my week. And I was thinking about this because my weeks, it's not like it's not like every week I have like the best week in the world. Like sometimes I think people they do different trainings, different podcasts, and every single episode is so focused on just huge success. And I wish I could say every single week is that sort of week for me. I mean, I wish every single week I was writing five, six, seven, 8,000, $10,000 weeks. Some weeks I have big weeks. Other weeks they don't go as well. Uh, Lately, I mean, I've been averaging like maybe like around 4,000 in premium every week. Where I mean, my goal usually is to write at least 5 or 6,000. In this week, kind of the same way. This week, I mean, was actually even a little bit less than usual. But anyways, yeah, I can kind of go through my week, kind of explain how I got to where I got for my week, and just kind of go from there. So, as most of you know, if and for those of you who don't know, who maybe are new to the call, usually I'm only out in the field 3 days a week. I'm out Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. My Mondays and Fridays are my office days where I'm catching up with agents and then also just kind of catching up on emails and uh, business that maybe I need to follow up on, things like that. So just out in the field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. My goal is to have 3 straight days full of appointments, because I know the more people that I have to see, the more success that I'm going to have. And so, unfortunately, the last few weeks haven't gone as planned. I've had the leads, just haven't had as many appointments set as I would like. But what are you going to do? I mean, I'm going to work the appointments, but then I'm also going to do more than that, anyways. I'm from the background of really never setting up appointments, anyways. I just recently, over the last year and a half or so, really started to focus more on the appointments. And that's just because Chris has had so much success on appointments. Uh, Chris writes more premium than pretty much anybody that I know on a regular basis. And I figured at the time, well, heck, if he's doing it, why not, why not join him and kind of do the same thing? So yeah, last year and a half, I've had the appointments set. And like I said, some weeks are better than others. Some weeks I have a full 3 straight days full of appointments. Other weeks, a little short of that. And that's kind of how this week was. I had maybe a few appointments each day, nothing to get overly excited about. But to me, like I said, I have that background of door knocking leads, and I'll be honest, if all people are doing is just working their appointments, they're not going to be successful. You have to have more to do than just that. So the majority of my week, I would say, was more focused on just putting routes together, going out and door knock leads. And again, because I have that steady, consistent flow of direct mail leads coming in every week, I had more than enough to keep busy. So I'd say it's kind of like doing it the hard way. But I mean, heck, at the end of the day, I still need to write business. I still need to make money. And I'm not just going to sit around all day doing nothing if I don't have appointments set. So, so Tuesday, I had, I had a few appointments set. didn't really have a whole lot of success. If I go back through my notes here, I can take a look and see. And I had one appointment in the morning. I still might get somewhere with it. It was again, it turned into a follow up. I don't like follow ups. This was somebody who had a policy and they just received a notice that their premium's going up like 3 times. So it's going from like $50 a month to like over $200 a month. And she's not going to keep it, but she just was, I don't know, on the fence, undecided. It seemed like she had some financial issues, and I pushed hard and I just couldn't get it. You're not going to get all of them. I mean, heck, if you batted 1,000, you'd probably be retired by now. So, but anyways, yeah, so that one didn't really get anywhere with. She told me to call her on Thursday night to follow up, which is tonight. I called her a few times. Of course, she didn't answer because that's usually how it goes. So then, yeah, I had a few other appointments set. Like I said, didn't really get a whole lot of anything out of them. And then I had a 5 o'clock appointment, and it was about, I don't know, 4:15 or so. And I knew I didn't have a whole lot of time to get a whole lot done before that appointment. So I ended up pulling over into a parking lot, and I pulled out a spreadsheet of people that already have policies with me. And I started sending out text messages to a bunch of them about, maybe adding to their coverage, or I was even sending text messages to people whose policies had lapsed. I've always felt like people don't intend on their policy to lapse. If they intended on their policy to lapse, they wouldn't have taken out the policy to begin with. They know they need it. There's a reason that they took it out. Sometimes things just happen. So, anyways, I had a little bit of time, sent a few text messages out. The way that my day went, I was just trying to do anything I could to make a sale. Like, I don't like going home without a sale. Once I have one sale in the books, I mean, you kind of get that that dopamine rush, I guess you could say, where you're feeling good again and just kind of ready to move forward. So, anyways, I ended up writing a small policy on an existing policy holder. It wasn't anything to get too excited about, but it was a sale. And it was like $329 annualized premium. This was like at 4:30 in the afternoon, right before my 5 o'clock appointment. So I was glad to at least get that sale. My 5 o'clock appointment, she was home, didn't really have a whole lot of luck, just couldn't get anywhere with her. And then from there, I wanted to door knock some leads. I didn't want to go home with just that one sale. So it was about, I don't know, it was probably 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's getting dark out like really early now. So I knew I didn't have a whole lot of time. I don't really like running a route once it's dark, but like if I have an appointment set late, that's fine. But I didn't have any late appointments. So I put a route together, and I had about, maybe, I don't know, I only threw like maybe 4 or 5 leads in the route. They were all relatively close together. And I knew with the limited amount of daylight left that I didn't have a whole lot of time, but enough time to at least try to catch up with a few more people. So I door knocked a couple, and then I finally got into one. And it was a lady that I actually talked to about maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago. And at the time, I door knocked the lady, and she actually like had her keys in her hand, and she was like heading out the door. And I remember at the time she said, "Well, I got to go pick up one of my grandkids at school. I'll be back around 6 o'clock or 6:30, something like that. You want to just come back then?" And I said, "Sure." What happened was I had an appointment after that night. And that appointment actually went really late. I think I was in the house until like 8:30 at night. I wasn't just going to show up at this person's house at 8:30 at night. And then I just couldn't get a hold of the lady again. So I just kind of threw it back into my door knocks to catch up with later. And I've driven by her house a handful of times since then, but her car wasn't in the driveway. I mean, I knew what car she had, and I didn't stop because I knew that she had a car and it wasn't in the driveway, so just assumed that she wasn't home and just kind of kept moving on. But there was a car in her driveway Tuesday night when I went back, and it ended up being a pretty good sale. Sat down with her, everything was good. She knew she needed it, and wrote her, I believe it was a $15,000 policy, and it was $854 annualized premium. So my day Tuesday that really started out slow, and I have a lot of days like that they start out slow, but I feel like towards the end of the day, I really, really start to push more. The sooner it is to going home, because I don't want to go home with a little. I want to go home with a lot more than that. So anyways, yeah, Tuesday ended up all right. And then Wednesday, which again, I'm recording Thursday night. So Wednesday was just yesterday. Yesterday was my son's last baseball game of the fall, and I coach his team, and we had a 5 o'clock game. But because I coach too, I had to get there early because I have to set up the field. I got to put the bases out. I got to put the lines on the field, and just a little bit of prep. So I have to get there about 4 o'clock. And what that means, well, I mean, heck, if I have to get there by 4, what's going to happen if I'm in a home until 3:30? It would be impossible to get there by 4. I really cut off about 2 o'clock yesterday, and I door knocked leads. I had a few appointments, same thing. I had a couple no-shows, didn't get anywhere with people. And then I just put out together and I door knocked some leads. And I finally got in a house. It was probably around 1 o'clock, a little after 1 o'clock. And the same thing, it turned into a good sale. I was fortunate that on a shortened day that I was still able to get that one sale. And this was one. The lady, she had a few health issues. I can't remember specifically what, but I remember Baltimore Life was the best option, in my opinion, for her. It might have been COPD or something. I think she might have had COPD. So anyways, I knew Baltimore Life would probably be the best option for her. And so I'm going through the whole application. Everything's good. We get to the banking information, and she hands me her debit card. And I'm like, well, thank you for that, but the number that I need is actually your bank account number. This is just your debit card number. And so she's like, well, I don't know if I have it. And she's like, I don't know if I want. She's like, my daughter handles my online banking. I don't really want to call her. I know I need this, and I know my daughter's just going to try to talk me out of it, and I'm doing this for her. So I don't want her talking me out of it or telling me not to do it. I know I need this. She goes, so I can't really get into the online banking. I said, well, why don't we just give them a call? So we called the bank, and the bank, they would not give her account information over the phone. And so she was getting kind of frustrated. She knew she needed it. I had the game I had to get to. Like, I wish I would have had time to take her to the bank. And I even told her, well, I could come back tomorrow. I could pick you up and I'll take you to the bank first thing in the morning and we'll get that account information. And like out of nowhere, I don't know what happened. She pulls out this envelope with all this paperwork in it. She goes, I forgot about this. Citibank actually sent this to me like last week. And I didn't even look to see exactly what it was, but I noticed that the account number was on it. And I knew that she wasn't like trying to like prevent me from getting her account information because we went through all these other steps. Like if she would have remembered that envelope was sitting there, we wouldn't have had to go through with being on hold with this bank for 15 minutes and everything else. So anyways, was able to get the account information, was able to get the thing fully done right then and there. She was approved as applied for, first day coverage preferred, and that one was $804 in premium. And I even told her, I said, I think God's looking out for you because, you didn't even realize that, that was there, but you knew you needed this and you knew you needed to get it done. And she said, yeah, I agree. She said, I agree. I'm glad that we were able to just get this done. So then on to today, which was, like I said, it was a long day. Uh, I had I had an appointment that they scheduled for me like at 11 o'clock, but it was actually closer to home where they set me up a 10 o'clock appointment in Chicago. So I ended up just going to the 11 o'clock appointment first. It was actually a person that I already wrote a policy on, and I actually had to deliver this policy to the person. So I don't think the appointment setters realized that I had already sold this person because I might have just sold it on a door knock. But anyways, I had to deliver the policy to him anyways. I didn't want to have to drive all the way back from Chicago to this other stop. So I just made it my first stop. And I stopped by like a little after 9 o'clock this morning, and she was home. I delivered the policy. And then I showed up at this next appointment that was in one of the worst parts of Chicago. And it was an empty lot. And I think she told the appointment setter that she moved, and she just gave him like just some bogus address. Because then I called the lady and she's like, no, I don't live there. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I never mind. And she just like hung up on me. So I think the lady just was sending me on like a wild goose chase for no reason, which kind of sucked. But what are you going to do? And then from there, I had an appointment that was like way up north. It was like an hour from the city. And I did have a few other leads out that way. I door knocked them. The lady that I met with, she was 82 years old. She just canceled like 3 policies because she couldn't afford to keep up with them. And I told her like that you shouldn't have done that, because now and she wasn't even in very good health. She was recovering from cancer, a few other things. I mean, the quotes I put together for her, I mean, they were high. She just couldn't afford anything. I couldn't get anywhere with her. And like I said, I just ended up moving on and door knocked a couple more leads in that area. Didn't have a whole lot of success. And then I just kind of went back to door knocking some other leads back in the other area because I had a 6 o'clock appointment tonight. So door knocked some other leads in the other area. Same thing. Just, didn't have a whole lot of success. Like I said, I think the good thing about my calls, I think a lot of agents can relate to my day. You can relate to this. Like, not every day is just sunshine and rainbows. Like, we have days like this where we really have to push. But I think that's what makes the difference between someone who makes it in this business and someone who gives up. You got to have thick skin. You got to be tough. You got to push forward, and you got to stay out late. You got to put the time in, and you can't give up. It can't be 5 o'clock at night and then you didn't write any applications, so you just go home. You got to find that last sale. You got to figure out a way to push to get it. And like I said, and by staying out, I always seem to find that last sale. And that's, like I said, that's kind of how my week went. Tuesday, I pushed and I made that last sale, a good sale, over 800 in premium. I was there till after 7:30 at night. Yesterday, which was Wednesday, again, I'm recording Thursday night. Last stop of the day, because I was pushing, because I had to cut off early because I had the baseball game I had to get to. Wrote that one, 800 in premium. And then tonight, last stop of the day, 6 o'clock at night, didn't get out of there till 7:30. And that was one that I wrote. It was a smaller one, $650 with Royal Arc. It was, I guess you could consider it almost like a guaranteed issue. They have like their graded or modified policy that will qualify just about anybody. So that one, it was, she was younger too, but unfortunately she did have a few pre-existing health issues. I wrote her 15,000 and it was 650 in premium. So that's about all I have for my portion of our call. And we will move forward with the podcast that's going to be talking about relationships. But as I mentioned, you just gotta, like I said, you just gotta be tough. You gotta grind and just do what you can to always find that last sale. I got on the phone Tuesday because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find that last sale. And I called some clients. I threw some text messages out there. I did whatever I could. Kind of back to that one Friday call I did, or I forget what day of the week it was, when Chris was gone earlier in the year. For those of you listening or watching, I'd recommend get back on the podcast and you can watch it. It was just titled "Whatever It Takes." just kind of talks about doing whatever it takes to succeed and just doing whatever it takes. Because that's just kind of the mentality you have to have in this business. We're not earning a salary. We earn what we put into it. And that's why I'm going to do as much as I can, because I want to earn as much as I can, because I look at my time as valuable. I take a lot of time away from being at home where I could be spending that time with my family, but I got to grind. I got to stay out there and do what I can to support them and make sure that, that they can be involved in all the things that they're involved in as well. So thanks again for hopping on this portion of the call. Stay tuned, and we will have our training or podcast format with me and Chris coming on here and shortly talking about relationships. Thanks again.
All right. Good morning and welcome into an unscripted introduction to a recorded version of Dynamic Friday. That's okay. I'll say it. It doesn't have to pretend to be live when it's not, because I'm wearing the same thing I was 2 weeks ago if you watched then, and so is Adam. We didn't even go upstairs and change. I'm sorry I'm not with you today, and we're not on a free conference call today, but that's because I'm getting married. We are not getting married. That would be weird and inappropriate. He'll be there, but not at the aisle. We're on today for a quick open, and then Adam's going to put into his training later. So we'll still have content and conversation to you who enjoyed the routine and the structure and the regularity that we provide. Even though we won't be with you here in real life, we will be here in recorded fashion. Adam, I wanted to open today's call, today's Dynamic Friday, I believe number 6, and talk a little bit about relationships. I think that's kind of an appropriate topic since as we record this, I'll be prepared to get married, relationships, mind you. But I think relationships are so important in the business because, first off, so many people think all you need to do is try to figure out how to recruit everybody or work under everybody. And relationships don't matter if you're not making a penny from them. And I don't buy that. Like, I feel like you can get a lot in a relationship without having to try to recruit somebody away, without trying to take them away, without money being involved. Like, I think everybody makes everybody better. And when we can learn to value and respect the power of relationships, maybe eventually people do business together, but it doesn't always have to be relationship equals hierarchy all the time. What do you think about that as we kind of open up today's conversation?
Well, I would say that, I mean, me and you, we communicated for a long time before we decided to work together. I mean, we kind of built a friendship. We kind of paid attention to what each other was doing and stuff, and kind of got involved, communicated and stuff like that. We did a lot without any intention of making money off of one person or another and stuff like that. I think so much of this business is just about building good relationships with good people. And yeah, you just never know what could happen, but so much of it is just, you focus on building good relationships and staying positive. And, I mean, heck, with social media and everything else, I mean, I think we both just kind of threw ourselves out there. And that's kind of how we communicated or met, was through social media. Mm-hmm. So I think that, so much of this is just about building friendships and showing people out there that you really know what you're talking about, but that you also do care as well.
Yeah, I think the second thing that's worth discussing, completely off script and authentic today, and those of you that are watching, we appreciate you watching. Comment below whatever place and time that you are watching. Is our agency culture in a lot of senses is very relationship based, where people are willing to give back and support each other, again, without having to make money off of each other. People will step up and run a call. People will step up and answer a question in a chat. People will build relationships and communicate cross the agency about different stuff that they're good at. And we hear it all the time as people talk openly and honestly that they appreciate that type of relationship structure that we provide, without having to worry if they're making a dime off of their help in that conversation.
Yeah. Again, I think the more you give, the more you get back. Whether that's money, whether that's just knowledge. I mean, I think that you're going to get paid back more and more just from learning more from others than any sort of, price on anything or any kind of money that you're going to make from doing this. I mean, I've gotten better in this business just from learning from others. I mean, yeah, so much of it is just kind of teaching yourself, getting out there and doing it, but just little things. I mean, heck, I've always said, even like what you were doing with the appointment setting, and me just always kind of focus on the door knocking. I mean, heck, if someone's doing better than me, I want to figure out what they're doing, and if they can do it, why can't I? I mean, but yeah, it's great to be involved with people that aren't really focused on what's in it for me. That you just and that's kind of how I've always been, even with building an agency. I've never really thought about. I remember one time I was talking to this one guy who was trying to build an agency. I think it was an agency under me, and he's like, "Man, this one guy under me, he wrote his first app," and then he's like, "I think I made like $150 on that." And I'm just thinking, I don't think I've ever calculated an override. Like I figured, you help people, you show them how to do it, you teach them how to hold themselves accountable and how to run their business, and do what you can to help them and support them. You're going to get paid.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know you're not sitting around calculating every single sale that's made and how much you're making out of it. You just do the right thing and do what you can to help people. And in the end, you're going to get paid.
Yeah, there's not enough time in a day to possibly do that. We build out numbers so that the business works. Like, we are a business. This isn't a hobby. It's as official as it can get at this point. But I don't sit around thinking, oh my gosh, look at that. I even had years ago, and I was in a situation where I kind of knew the agent was going out the door. He couldn't be pleased, and he did more complaining than he did producing. And I thought to myself, if for all the time he just sat here and complained, if he would just go out and sell, he wouldn't be having these problems right now. But I said to him, and I say this openly, and those watching today who have ever heard this story before, I said to him, I don't need your override to pay my mortgage. Like, that's not how this relationship works. And that's a good thing. Like, I don't need you to feed me. I help you because I want you to be able to feed yourself and grow and provide and get the success you want out of this business. When you have an upline that is dependent on paying their mortgage off of your override because they don't know how to do their job, that's a whole different kind of relationship problem. And of course, this is a business. This is a functional agency. We've got bills to pay and override to cover, or overhead to cover. But we understand that it isn't just about premium. It's about people. And I would much rather surround ourselves, like we have, with good quality people that care about what they do and who they work with, than just butthole producers that aren't worried about helping anybody but themselves, right?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody is trying to build an agency and all they're thinking about is how they're going to be making money off of people, well, they're in the wrong business, with the wrong attitude, and they're not going to last in the business. No, like I said, yeah, you got to focus on building that culture, which I think we've done a really good job at, especially, you, Chris, with the morning call, and there's the structure of being so consistent with that. Every single day, people just kind of make that part of their day. Mm-hmm. And it's not micromanaged. We're not like forcing people to hop on the call. But I mean, even when I first kind of got involved working together with you, Chris, I mean, I didn't go on the call that often, and now I'm a regular participant. And it really, there was really no reason behind why I wasn't consistent with it. But after kind of hopping on and getting involved a little bit, I think it helps too with even being able to hold myself a little bit more accountable when I'm telling people what my goal is going to be for the week and my plans are to hit that goal. Well, I look pretty stupid if I come pretty short when I've already kind of thrown, because I throw some pretty big numbers out there. Like, yeah. I'm not just throwing that out there to throw that out there. Like, I'm confident in myself and I know that I can do it, or I'm going to do whatever I can to come close to hitting that. But yeah, just that's the culture, with, like you said, we've built around people that we've taught that maybe already have some prior experience, but they know what they're doing and they're good at what they do. And they're willing to help and share their own ideas with others. And whether they're making money for sharing their ideas or not, I think it's kind of like an afterthought, really.
Yeah. And I think it's important. And if you guys are watching, you're listening, you understand the call concept. We made an extra effort to record today and to release today, even though we won't be here today with you live and we won't be on free conference call, but we're going to bring it to you here because we understand the value of routine and structure and regularity, that it has become part of your life and a part of your business and a part of your operation. And it's like that little thing. I'm going to preach to the choir for those that know it and teach to those that don't. It's such a small concept. It's such a simple idea that it's extremely easy to discount. Like, why would I take 25 minutes out of some of the busiest parts of my day? I get it. We're dads. We have kids and lives and stuff going on. Why am I going to take 25 minutes out of my day, sometimes on the West Coast, early in my day? What's the point? Well, the point is it gives you information and knowledge and power and structure and confidence and clarity to know you're not the only one out there doing it, to be able to do it. So those of you that are a part of that, we always appreciate it. If you haven't tried it before, give it a try. We'll post the call information for you to check out at any point in time. The whole world's welcome to listen in. There are no secrets here. And I think that's part of the relationship. Now, Adam, in our next few minutes, I want to discuss in relationships when sometimes things don't go right. You know, getting married, things aren't always going to go right. Sometimes things go wrong. But, you know, as Jordan Peterson would say, marriage is that final commitment where you say, no matter what goes wrong, you got this to fall back on. You're going to face it all together, and all those platitudes and confidence kind of statements. But relationships and business can be a little bit different. There is no legal document. There's no ring. There was no ceremony. Then no 100 of your friends weren't there to watch. And when you get pissed off, sometimes you reach out to someone and ask to see if you can go work with them instead. You look for a release. You look for a clean break because, you know, that same commitment may not be there. But what I've learned in relationships, especially when things get challenging in business, is you got to go through it sometimes to grow deeper. And if you don't go through it and grow deeper, and anytime something goes wrong, you're chasing the next object, you never get that chance to grow. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think people just need to understand that, I mean, we've talked about this, you know, we've never intentionally tried to do anything to affect somebody's business or harm them or whatever. I mean, honestly, I would say it's probably more of the opposite. Pretty much everything I do, I mean, like whatever I'm doing, like I want to make sure that like everybody around me is having as much fun as I am. So, and I've never been one that really likes to have like that friction, I guess you could say. I've never really liked ones when problems do arise. Like I do what I can to try to prevent problems from arising, because like I said, I mean, I'm going to do my best to keep people happy. And that's pretty much all relationships, you know, whether that's, you know, marriage or kids or, you know, business. You know, I always want people around me to be happy and be enjoying life as much as I am.
Yeah, and I think that's part of, like, you guys know that are listening in or may never heard before, if this is the first time. I tell people all the time when they come to work with us, first thing that you can be confident about is we're going to be honest with you. And when you know coming into a conversation, a good one, a bad one, somewhere in between, that honesty is that first step. You don't have to be afraid about if I'm lying to you, if I'm misrepresenting, if I'm, you know, sugarcoating, or if I'm kind of dancing around an issue. I'd rather everyone just be open and honest so that we can get through issues a lot clearer. And, you know, sometimes honesty hurts people's feelings. Sometimes honesty makes a conversation difficult to discuss. But if you know everyone's just being forward from the very beginning, you can get more stuff done. And I think so many people are just willing to tell somebody what they want to hear to be able to get the override off of them. They're afraid to be honest. And I think honesty is a policy that we kind of hold here. And that's why people here write such good business. Like, we don't have a bunch of roll up and chargebacks and suspicious shit and, like, pardon the language, and like clearly people writing their uncle 3 times over like we've seen in the past. Because if we make honesty a policy from the very beginning, people want to do honest business with us as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You know, it's how we've kind of structured things. And, you know, I talked a few weeks ago about how, you know, the agency of mine who's got the poorest persistency. You know, our topic that day was on persistency. And, you know, I mentioned how the group that's got the worst quality of business is those that are not involved, that they just kind of want to do their own thing. Like whoever's in charge of the agency just wants to be the guy and like doesn't want his people involved with anything else outside of them. And I mean, I don't like it, honestly. Like if I would have known that's how it would have been from the get-go, I probably would have never brought him on. I kind of look at this as, we're kind of like all in this together, like we've talked about. We're here to help each other and support each other and do what we can to help people. And again, yeah, it's a lot easier to manage business when you know where it's coming from and how it's being generated. And it leads to a whole lot less of a headache when you have to deal with chargebacks and roll-ups and all of those things. So yeah, the culture is a great thing. And yeah, I mean, at the end, we want more people that want to be a part of something like that. And then that really don't have those sort of ego issues where they feel like they know more than everybody else and they don't want to be involved with anything outside of what they're doing themselves.
Yeah. And I think kind of in the final part of our conversation today, I think when we talk about relationships, we can talk about those that are watching, those that are involved, those that are engaged, those that are supporting the mission as in our 4 years together. But maybe those that this is all kind of new to them. They clicked on the video, they were swiping through, they saw it pop up, they watched it on YouTube, and they're like, I'm intrigued. Like, we have so many things going on here that support people's growth in the business. You can come into the business without a penny to your name, but with the will and the want to succeed. And we have a free lead program that'll make that happen. You have production requirements, you've got attendance requirements, you've got a lot of requirements to be on that kind of a program because it's expensive. But if you have a will, we've got a way. If you want high contracts and all the carriers and all the resources and all the products, we've got that. If you want a recruiting platform where you can talk to licensed agents on your office day and build your sub agency, we've got that. If you want to do Medicare and you want to do Medicare and life at the same time, because that's the right way to do it, well, the same person that is, we've got that methodology as well. Like the power of relationships have brought all those resources to the table. And I think you can say in good confidence it's led to an increase in your income. And all of that is on the foundation of relationships is how I see it.
Well, yeah. And people, when they're looking for new opportunities, whether they're in the insurance business or not, I mean, usually when people are looking for a job, they're not happy with where they're at. And that's usually because they're not making the sort of money they want to be making. So sometimes it's difficult when someone is going from one business to another or one agency to another. If they're not successful where they're at, how are they going to be successful here if they can't pay for leads every week? That's where at least we have that program. We have the free lead platform where we can put people in front of a lot of people. We can even have appointments set for them and their schedules booked. Man, I sure wish when I first got in the business that all I had to worry about was getting up and going out and working a full day's worth of appointments. Talk about easy. Like that takes the hardest part of the job out of the equation.
Exactly.
Not only, I don't know. The hardest part might be the money for a lot of people that they have to invest. But again, with what we got going on, it takes all of those hard parts out of the equation. The work that's involved with getting in front of the people, the amount of money that you got to invest into your business in order to get in front of those people. So we pretty much handle all that. To me, that's a big bet on our side. That's showing like if we're bringing somebody into that program, I would say that should show to that person that we are pretty confident in them and their abilities to succeed in the business because it's a big investment on our part. We're not just going to hand that out to anybody, but if we feel good about somebody, I think they're worth the investment.
Absolutely. So in short, I think relationships matter. I think each and every person that contributes to this agency matters. I think you out there in the viewing audience, what you contribute to the insurance space matters. I think what you contribute to your local community, your friends and your family, all that stuff matters. And I think it's important that we learn to value relationships on the good days, on the bad days, and all the days in between, because sometimes the biggest growth in relationships doesn't just come on a day where things are going great, but it comes on a day where things aren't. And you can take a deep breath. You can sleep on it. You can come back the next day and say, all right, this is what happened. Let's figure out how to fix it. And let's move forward from it. Because I think that's what we all want in life, is to be happy, to be fulfilled, and to get better and to grow the further we continue forward. So I appreciate you guys engaging with us today, even though we're not here with you in real time. We want you to have a profitable, a productive, and a successful Friday. And that's why we put this together, so that you have the chance to do that.